Hello everybody, thanks for joining me here on Monday. It's Simon here from AVAGO-INK Designs. I've been looking at all your comments, so I've been waiting. I can see loads of comments about Kit Kats and cakes and donuts, making me feel hungry. But thanks for joining me anyway, and thanks for tuning in. And I would say, just so you can make sure that you do get all the notifications, if you want to subscribe to the channel, just hit that bell, and then you'll be kept informed of any notifications. It's just a simple step to do, and then at least you know every time we put something out, you'll be first to see it, really. And there is some very exciting news coming up next week, which I can't tell you any more about now, but tune in next week and you'll find out more. Very exciting, though, I tell you. It's exciting for me and exciting for you. I'm sure you'll love it. Right, so let's get started. So for today's cards, I've got two cards for you, and the theme of them both is like a gingham backing paper I found. So I've used that to give you two styles of cards. So the first one we're going to make is this one that incorporates that lovely background stamp that we got with the collection, with the hills and the sunshine and the clouds. And that's going to use some watercolour techniques. So let's start off with this one. So let's put that to one side while we get set up. I do believe we've got a video as well, which they've put together of some fantastic samples from this collection. What we'll do is we'll play that while I set up, so you don't get bored. Something nice for you to look. So we'll go to that now. And did you enjoy that video? It's the first time I've seen it. It's brilliant, isn't it? Some lovely samples that the DT teams helped put together. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you are already subscribed, just leave a comment as well of what you think, because it is nice. And some people, not me, they don't know about AVAGO-INK design yet, and they can read your comments, see what your thoughts are. That's brilliant. Right then, so let's get on with this card then, the first one. So I've got a nice piece of watercolour paper on there, and I'm just going to use the background stamp. I'm just going to stamp the whole image to the centre of this card. Just pick the stamp up. Just give that a good inking everywhere. Can't stop thinking about Kit Kats and donuts now, you've all mentioned them. Give that a good press down. I'm just going to do that again so we get all these areas. It's quite a textured cardstock I'm using, so I did expect to do it twice just to get a clear image. We'll just go in for another inking. Push down those areas. And there we go, I'm really happy with that. I'll just take that out of the Eureka. Under there. So I've got a nice scene there, and we could just use it as it is, but it is a beautiful scene and it's really easy to build up your characters on here and create like a little scene for your sentiments. But I just want to use areas of it today for this card. So I'm just going to bring in my watercolours. I'm not going to spend too much time putting lots of detail in this. I'm just going to put a little bit of like colour, the blue and the green, just to break it up a little bit. Let's start off with the blue. Make a bit of a blue wash there. I'm just going to go in with quite a big brush just to add a bit of colour. And also by doing it like this, you don't add too much moisture, so it shouldn't buckle your card. And if you want a little bit of a deeper blue in areas, you can always go back in. And then brush that out. I'm just going to make a green wash up now. Move this up a little bit so it's easy to read. And same again, I'm going to give some definition to these different hills. And I'm just going to mix a slightly darker green up now, just so we don't have one colour green. It's really quick this, but you can see it gives instant colour. I'm just going to go in with a slightly darker green just for those bushes. Oh, there's lots of you joined us today, that's nice to see. And then we'll just pick up some of that. Ooh, I'll just swap a smaller brush. I'll just put a bit of an orange in there. Look. There we go, I'm happy with that. We'll move the watercolours out the way. So I'm just going to give it a quick blast with a heat gun just to make sure that's dried. So. I'm happy with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut out the areas that I want to use with this card. So I brought some square dies. I just want to put them down. In some random positions. You can do this wherever you like. I just chose this because I thought this looked nice when it's actually on the card later. So I'm going to die cut those areas out. I'm just going to run this through the cutter. Yeah, it's true, mate, isn't it? It's just a slight wash of that green and blue really lifts that image. You don't have to spend hours on your backgrounds. You want them characters to pop as well, don't you? Those little pigs and chickens and whatever you choose to put on your card. Oh, I can see the Kit Kats re-emerged. Somebody's got a Kit Kat again. So I'm just going to pop these out. I'll just move my dice to one side. Here we go. So we've got our 3 little bits of the scene there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mount these onto some black paper and just give them a bit of a border. It just makes them pop a little bit more. So I've just got some, literally a scrap of black paper that I got at home. You don't need to use card for this because the watercolour stock's fine on its own. So Just for a little bit of speed, I'm just going to use a bit of the tape runner. Yep. And what I tend to do is I line up the corners where I want it, and then there's less cutting afterwards, so that's down. I only have to trim down the other edge now onto these sides. I've already got a perfect border on the other two edges, so I'll do the same for the other two bits. That down, and then this little bit. And you could always put more detail into this background if you wanted, but I don't think it needs it. I'm going to bring my little trimmer in. I've got that little guide wire on this one, so it really helps me with doing things like this. Just pop it through that way. Use that guide wire again. That's one. Just gonna do this other area. Two. Just tear that bit off, we don't need that. There you go. So that's just using parts of that background. I'm just going to leave them there now just to finally dry in case there's any moisture still left in there. I'm going to bring in the rest of my card to assemble. So I've just gone for one of the 10th fold black cards, but I'm going to have it horizontal on this one. And I've already pre-cut a piece of the gingham paper that fits, leaving a black border around the edge, the same kind of effect that we've got on our watercolour that kind of merges in. So let's stick this onto our backing card. There we go. And then we can mess around now with these and see where we want to put them. So, because nobody's got the original stamp on this card, it doesn't matter where the hills line up. They could go in this orientation, or you could have them going the opposite way. It's entirely up to you. I do kind of like the fact that it comes off the card, doing it that way. So I'm going to put them down in that position, and I'm just going to use some foam pads for that, so it gives a bit of height. Just grab some from over here. Okay, so let's put some on the back of this. So anybody out there bought this collection or any of it? Have you made any cards yet with it? It'd be nice to share them as well. Don't feel that you can't. I'm going to put that one up there. You never have too many foam pads, can you, in your stash? I'll put that one there. And this one at the top. I'm just going to put some foam pads on the lower half of it because it does stick over the card a bit. So Sue says first time today. Does that mean you've started using the new stamps? You have to share your mates with us, it'd be really nice. There you go, so I've got a lovely start to the card there. I'm just going to put in a sentiment that I'd already pre-cut. This isn't from this collection, it's just one that I'd got from a stash, so I'm not sure where it's from if I'm honest, but I just thought it fitted this space really well. So I'm just going to pop this into its place. And that can go in that bottom corner. Right, so we've got his card layered up now, and we've got all the scenery in place and the colours. And we're now just got to choose which characters we're going to use for this. So I've already pre-coloured some of these little characters, look, on the watercolour. Save a bit of time today. We've got a sheep, a hen, there's cows and there's ducks. So I'm going to cut them all out and then we can have a play around and see where we want to put them. So I'm going to bring in my die plates again. Pop these over. I do tend when I'm at home, I make a lot of these characters ready and then you've got them for whatever card you make. So I do kind of have a session where I do colour a lot of them in. Just get this tape. I'll just put that big duck out. Right, we'll just run that through. So Sue's new to stamp smiming, you only have one stamp and die. That'll change, Sue, I'm afraid, that will change. But they're so versatile, aren't they, the products? I'm sure you're having fun with what you've got already. Here we go. So we'll just pop all these characters out. And then we'll decide what we're going to use in a second. So you can see we've got a card. I'm just going to lay it down flat so it's easy for you to see. So we could have like a chicken in this one. Have ducks in this one, look. Or we've got a larger sheep. Could even have a piglet in there. Ooh, which combination shall we have? We'll go for the ducks and the chicken. I think that'd look nice all together. Let's go for those. So we're just going to stick those on now as well with some foam pads, just give them a little bit of height. We'll put the chicken in this one. And they can be standing on that hill, look, looking at the sun. I'm going to cut this one down, this foam pad, this is a little bit big. And let's put this duck on that one. And then we'll use a slither of a pad. Sarah says the pigs might fly. They could, couldn't they? There we go. You could even draw in some little birds in this one if you wanted. In fact, let's just add a bird into this top section just to break this space up. So you don't have to be too precise. Let's just add some flying in the distance, look. Just breaks that cloud up a little bit. And there we have it. That's the first card. I'll stand it up for you all to see. So, really easy to do. Takes a really good effect of all them background dyes that we've got. And the gingham really lifts it. And I think the gingham goes with it because it's like a farm theme as well. So, what do you think to that one? So Jackie says that she's loving this idea because you're trying this out. It really is, isn't it? And it means you don't have to use your whole background stamp. So, it's worth a go. So that's the first card for today. And what we're going to do is we're just going to run that VT again with the samples that we've made for this collection while I'll just set up for the next one, which will have a gingham theme through it as well. So I'll see you in 2 seconds. and welcome back. Thanks for watching that. Some really good ideas in there though, weren't there? I've got to say, I can't take credit from all. There've been some really good samples. And I'm loving all your comments as well, so thank you for being so kind. So this next card is taking that gingham theme again. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this one. Look. So this one's using one of the little cute rabbits and the flowers. And it's going to have some added dimension in there because we're going to really raise this up. As you can see, if I just tilt this around a little bit, it's completely die cut. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera. So it's really got some height to it. So that rabbit is like in the background. And it's a really simple card as well. And I'm sure you can adopt this to whatever stamps you've got. But it's a really clean card and I like this kind of design. So let's start off then. So what I've done is I've got a square of card ready for my card. And then I've already cut out one of these gingham shapes. I'm going to stick this into the centre of this area. So I'm going to use a tape pen for this one. Just make sure if you're doing this technique at home, you put it round the edge, and you'll understand in a reason for that in a second. I'm going to pop that in the centre at the top. There you go. I'm happy with that. And then what I've brought is like a nesting die for this shape that will just fit inside there. I'm going to cut that out now, and that's going to give us front of the card as aperture. I'll pop that on there. Make sure it's where I want it to be. I would use masking tape, but I'll be honest, I forgot it today. So we're going to wing it and hope it doesn't move. There you go, fingers crossed. So it's a good idea showing us the samples like that. Do you mean the video, David? It's nice, isn't it? It's nice for me as well to see what other people are making with the stamps. So Elizabeth says, how did you get the elongated sheep I saw? Right, so what I did for that, I ain't got the stamp here to show you actually, have I? Let's have a look. I have. Let me just put that on there. So what I did, if you can look down on this, is I masked off half of it like that. So I just stamped this half of the sheep. And then I lined it where I wanted the other half at the other end of the card and stamped the other half. And I simply joined these lines myself. So I just continued that kind of woolly effect going away across. And I put my sentiment inside that. I've got the card here somewhere actually. Oh, here it is. Thought I brought it. So if I just pop that down there, you can see there. So I stamped half of it there. I stamped the back end there. And I simply hand drew this line in between to make it longer. And then I cut it out, so obviously the die wouldn't be able to do that, would it? Well, that explains that for you. Let's move that out of the way. Okay, so back to this one. So I've got, oh, this board keeps eating me work today, I tell you. Let me just get my pokey tool, just lift this up. There you go. Move that to one side. So by doing that, we've now got a really nice gingham border around that hole in the card. And I've also got a nice gingham shape to use for a future project. So I'm going to keep that to one side for something else in the future. I'm going to bring in my stamping platform now. Could fit in this one. I'm going to use the Hoppy Birthday one, just because it's really clean and crisp and it'll go at the bottom really lovely, look. I'll put that there. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to use some VersaFine black on this now. Just turn it sideways so it's easier for me to hold. Ooh. That would happen, wouldn't it? Let me just put this where it's gonna go. Let's see if we can go in one more time. There we go. Move that to one side. So as you can see, that's just a nice crisp sentiment underneath that aperture, and that's the front of our card, kind of finished at this stage. So what we're going to do now is move on to the back of the card, which is, again, I've used a 10-fold card because I just like the shape of these. I think they're so versatile and a bit more modern, aren't they? I'm going to cover it in the gingham paper and we're just going to trim that. I'm not leaving a board, I'm going to go edge to edge on this one. I'm just going to get my tape runner again. I tend to put tape runner on the actual card. I find it easier to do this technique doing this way. I know some people use wet glue, but and then I'm just going to pop that over the top edge. And I'm sure you've got some lovely backing papers at home, all crafters do, so if you haven't got gingham, I'm sure you could find a lovely colour that would work with the farm theme very well. So I'm just going to trim this off now level with my card blank. And let's go around to the next bit. There we go. Move my trimmer out of the way, we don't need that now. So I've got a lovely backing card and I've got this and it just gives a little bit more depth. But what we do need to now create is the scenery that the actual rabbit's going to be in the background of this, and that's easy to do. I've got a small scrap of card that's just slightly bigger than the aperture so that when it goes behind you're not going to see any edges on there. And I'm just going to get a piece of scrap card. There we go, we'll use this. Just move them up a little bit. And we're going to use that fantastic stencil that comes in this collection if you've got it already. I find it so easy for making the hills and the scenery with this. Really good investment, I believe. So I'm using the Distress Oxide, I've got the Salty Ocean for the sky, and I'm using the Twisted Citron for the grass. And what I'm going to do is just going to use this stencil to create some kind of hills. I don't need to be super detailed because we want the rabbit to be the focal point afterwards. Just look how fast this builds up. I'll have that one going off there. There you go. So I'm going to move that one out now. You can see I've got really nice hills going up and down. A lot of texture in the technique. To say that I've only used one colour, I think it's brilliant. And now I'm going to go in with the next one, which is the stencil that we've got for the clouds. So this one's going to give you loads of different options for doing this. I'm just going to use the Salty Ocean though, because it's quite a vibrant blue. And it'll make it a happy card. So let's go back in with this. And the same as the green technique, I'm just going to just brush that onto the top. Go as dark as you want. I tend to go darker at the top. And I'm just going to go a little bit lighter on the next layers. And because it's the sky as well, don't be scared of leaving some white areas, because I think it adds to the depth by doing that. There we go. And then what I'm just going to do with just the blue, is I'm just going to take this whiteness off this area. I'm just going in, just almost like just taking it down to the hill. There you go. So we've got a real nice background, quickly done with the distress oxides. I'm sure you've got some inks at home as well. A green and a blue is not hard to locate, hopefully for you. So if I bring this back in, so we're going to stick this in the centre of this gingham background on this card blank, somewhere that we know that when we put this on, it's going to really shine through lovely look. So I'm going to stick that in that position there. That's the other thing with using gingham. You can count the squares at either side so you know that you're in the centre. There's a top tip for you there. Let's put that in there. And we're just going to pop that to one side a second. So, for the other bits, the little flowers, if I just bring that card back in to show you. So, you can see we've got some like lovely flowers going around the bottom of this. They're actually going to be positioned on the back of the aperture and then brought to the front. So, I've already pre-cut and coloured some of these to save a bit of time. We'll just bring them onto there. We've got a friendly rabbit, we've got some flowers. There we go. So what I want to do is turn this over. I'm just going to actually, give me just 1 second, I just use a piece of towel so I can see there's blue ink on there. I don't want to get it on the card. There we go. So I'm going to turn this over and we're going to put a strip of double-sided tape just across here, and this is where we're going to actually catch all the flowers and secure them at the back. And we'll just get a piece of this off. Run it down there, look. Grab my scissors. Get the pokey tool. Okay, so, and all we're going to do is, using the front of the card, we're going to position these where we think they'd look nicest. So I think like that one would look nice, peeking there. I'm going to do that and then push it upwards and we can secure it onto that double-sided tape that we've already got in place. I'm going to do the same with the other flowers. So I think I'm going to have one there. Let's have one going that way. And then finally one there. And I'm going to turn that over, and then these little ones, I'm just going to thread them through the gap just to give a little bit more definition to that front bit. And I'm also just going to place another bit of tape just over that, just to make sure we've really trapped those areas. There you go, and if we turn that over, we've got a really nice selection of flowers there, look, going out to that opening the card. So now what we're going to do is we're going to secure this onto his card front. I'm going to use some depth on this. I'm going to put some foam pads all the way around the edge. Just give it enough support so it kind of hovers off the gingham background. So let me just get my foam pads. I'm just going to run a border of them around the card, a little bit in from the edge, and then you'll not see them as much on the actual profile when you look at the card. I'll go all the way around. You could always stick this flat as well if you're going to be posting it. I know a lot of people don't like too much dimension as it can increase the post cost, but I think on this card it kind of works with this. So just a few more, just in this middle section. And one there. So I'm just going to take all them backings off now. This is why it helps to have such big foam pads. Thanks, May. Glad you appreciate it. I like to try and do something different every week with these lovely characters. I hope it inspires some of you to have a go with your collection at home. Nearly there. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up now with this card blank that we've already got ready. Same again, I'm going to use the gingham kind of dots to give me an idea where to put it. I'm going to go for there. Push that down. And then what I'd like to do is I want the bunny's head to be coming forward, but not his body. I'm going to put a foam pad on his head, but put a little bit of a glue on his feet so we can get him to almost like he's popping out. So let me get my glue ready for that. I'll just get rid of this rubbish. Here we go. So, I'll take one foam pad up there. Just put a little bit of glue onto his feet. And that way, you can put him on into the card, behind the flowers, but his head will still be proud of the clouds. Look. And there we go. I'll stand that up for you. That's his second demo. So still got the gingham theme running through it, but it really makes that rabbit stand out, doesn't it? And that sentiment really pops on that pure white card. So I hope that's been really good for you. I'll just bring in the other one as well. What do you think to those two then? Because there are lots of lovely comments going on there, I've got to say. Oh, Bridget's on the naughty step, I believe. Well, if you're a crafter, I think you belong on the naughty step most of the time, I've got to be honest. But it's a nice naughty step though, isn't it? You can get really creative with all the products that you get. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me. If you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel and you'll get the notifications. If you get a chance, would you also leave a comment? Because it's really nice for other crafters to just read what people think about it, and it gives them some inspiration. And please join me next week because it's some very exciting news which I can't share with you now. I really want to, but I can't. But I promise you next week all will be revealed. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you next week. So thanks for joining me, and thanks for all your lovely comments as well. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.